Now she's been like removed again, and I'm wondering, they're acting like we have to separate. Is there any way we can stay together and I could be the line of sight, or is that a conflict of interest?
We're going to talk to Nicole from Colorado. Nicole, did you have a story to tell or a question to ask?
Hi, can you hear me? This is Nicole.
Nicole, I can hear you loud and clear.
Good. Okay, I have a question. So, we almost had our daughter home. We had her 5 days a week. And, my husband had a couple of dirty ways for alcohol. And they're like, oh, don't worry about it. As long as there's one sober parent, we're good. Now she's been, like, removed again. And I'm wondering, they're acting like we have to separate. Is there any way we can stay together and I could be the line of sight, or is that a conflict of interest?
Well, here's the problem. And before I tell you, I'm licensed in California, not in Colorado. So I'm going to answer that question as if you were here in California.
Okay.
I understand from talking to a lot of people, it's similar, but it's something that you should definitely talk to a Colorado lawyer about. But if you were in California, and because this is a CPS case, a juvenile dependency case, a lot of things that are common sense don't apply. And I find this, speaking to people, they're trying to use common sense and analyze what the law is or what the law should be. And that's not accurate. The bottom line is, if the child was out of your care and then placed in your care, or at least unmonitored for 5 days a week, and your husband tested positive, and if those are legitimately dirty tests, there's a problem. There's going to be a problem in the law. There's going to be a problem with the judge. There's going to be a problem with the social worker. Now, you don't have to separate from him forever, but if you want the child, he's got to be out of the home. That would be my advice if you were here in California. That doesn't mean in the future you guys can't get back together, once the case is closed or once he starts testing clean. But you got to get your child out of foster care, because while the child's in foster care, you could risk losing the child permanently, both you and your husband. So it's a significant thing what you just described to me. Although it's no biggie and the kid never got hurt and you could provide safety, that's common sense, and that common sense doesn't apply in these situations, unfortunately.
I wanted to ask really quick, if it's all right, has your husband sought addiction recovery treatment?
That's right here.
I've been in treatment for 6 years. Ex-12-year opioid addict. The thing that got her removed a second time once we had her 5 days a week was I stupidly, I say it's the smartest thing, the dumbest thing I've ever done, which I decided to get methadone. I got tired of breathalyzers. I do like to have a few drinks because I can't sleep at night. And it's kept me in the methadone clinic almost daily for about 6 years now. And I just got tired of it. I don't need that treatment anymore because I am at no risk of relapsing on heroin. Both the GAL and the social worker have said they are not worried about us relapsing. But yet we're still required to drop 2 UAs a week. I also have Hep C, which makes it very difficult for me to hold down water. I'd also like to add that the GAL said that because the last time they visited us, and I was very nervous about the visit, she was like, we wouldn't remove her for you having a few drinks here and there. But yeah, the whole basis, the whole foundation of why she was taken was mostly false, because we were on methadone, legally prescribed medicine. They viewed us as not being clean and sober. Also, even though we were in a family program with rent guaranteed until we were matched with an apartment, they still called us homeless because our name wasn't on a lease. Also, I might add that the CPS intake worker completely perjured herself in court, lied about our daughter was 7 weeks premature. She lied on paper and in court, saying that it was a dependency case, and saying that our daughter was treated for nearly a month for methadone withdrawal, which was not the case. My wife purposely kept herself at such a low dose, and that combined with her being 7 weeks premature, she dodged that bullet. She never had to be treated for that. They lied in court.
The barrister told this is the fast way to get her home, and we almost had her home.
And we were terrified. And so we went along with everything they were saying.
Well, the bottom line is Nicole called me up. She asked me a question. She said, Dad tested positive for UAs for alcohol, and it's a substance abuse case. Is that not true?
Yeah, that's the current issue we're dealing with.
Okay, so if it's true, it's true, you're going to have to face the situation that a law that is unfair, or the way the judge looks at it is unfair, but that's what's going to happen. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I lost a son to addiction when he was 27 years old. I grew up around people with addictions. It's a serious thing. And if I'm the judge and I have a substance abuse problem and I'm about to give the kids back to the parents, but one of them still is testing positive for a substance, an addictive substance, I'm going to think about it twice or 3 times before I place the child with them. That's just the system you're in.
And fair enough, but they're saying that I relapsed when, in fact, even though they look down on people prescribed methadone, I kicked methadone successfully without going back to heroin.
But you weren't dropping UAs during that time, and so they see that as your progress going down.
So let me ask you something, because I've been, I've never had that issue of substance abuse in my life, but I've gone to a lot of programs with my son. And I get the feeling that you're looking at it like, okay, I kicked heroin, I kicked the methadone, but if I have a couple of drinks, that's okay. And in reality, that might be true. But from an addictive recovery point of view, that's not how the court looks at it.
Okay. Well, they also don't see my progress as well.
No. That's not true, sir. It's not true. They see your progress. The problem is you gave them 2 dirty tests. That's the problem.
I want to recommend too, because I noticed you mentioned that you were struggling to fall asleep and that the alcohol does help. I wanted to suggest maybe some alternatives that you might take a look at. Something like, for example, just doing some mindful breathing. One of the things that I often recommend to my clients is a progressive muscle relaxation, where basically as you're doing your breathing, you go through your body, kind of starting from the top of your head and moving down through each of your muscle areas, like starting with your eyebrows, then your jaw, your eyes, and just kind of moving slowly down your body. And what you do is you tense them up first, and then you just relax them when you breathe out. And what that does is it's relaxing the body, and by doing that, it's also telling the brain it's time to shut down, the emergency response system. And so it'll shut down the adrenaline, it'll shut down the cortisol, and that can really help. I've had clients where they do it, they only get halfway through and they fall asleep. So that's one. The other thing I might recommend is something called ASMR videos, and you can find these all over YouTube. And there's all different kinds of ones that are out there. There's one that I particularly like. It's called The French Whisperer, and he basically just tells stories. Some of them are like they make sounds, or they just kind of whisper very, very softly. But a lot of times people find that helps them to, kind of stop the spinning tape in your head.
Yeah,
keep you awake.
That's one of my big problems. But I also, like I said, I'm a 12-year opioid addict that just got off methadone. It's a lot harder than breathing exercises and just stilling your mind. Like I can't sleep more than 3, maybe 5 hours a night at this point.
Yeah.
My bones ache. I have a lot of anxiety. And I have insomnia. Like that just comes with the territory of being on opioids for 12 years.
Let me jump in.
And so another thing you might want to do is just speak with somebody who is a sleep professional and see if they can help give you some ideas about how to relax, knowing that you have this physical pain that you're living with.
Brian, do me a favor. Give him and give the audience your telephone number and your email address, and maybe you guys can hook up offline. And then after you do that, I want to say one thing. Go ahead, give them the information.
Yeah, it's you can call me at 951-289-0478. You can also look me up on Psychology Today.
Okay, can you just put it into a text, because I don't have anything to write with right now?
Sure. Yeah, just look me up on Psychology Today, Brian Hamilton, Riverside, California. Okay.
Okay. I appreciate you guys.
All right. There's one thing I want to tell you guys. One last thing. Look, it's my business and my job to get people back with their children. And a lot of times people hire me and I say stuff that they don't like. You hired me or you asked me for, a strategy to get your children back. I'm telling you the strategy. You may not like it. You guys may not want to separate right now. And I get it. You guys are a couple, right? But in order to get the kids back, do everything that you need to do to get your kids back now and worry about getting back together later. Because as long as the children are in foster care, you could lose your children, and that is very real. A lot of people come to me, they don't believe it. Oh, that doesn't make sense, and I'll be treated fair, and blah, blah, blah. Look, you can lose your kids. Do everything that you can to get them back. I know you guys probably have attorneys that you've hired or court-appointed attorneys. Speak to them, follow their advice, even if you don't like it. You're getting down.
And that's the thing. We're getting two conflicting pieces of advice. Her attorney is saying,
what you're saying
out, and my attorney's saying that she's talked to the county attorney, and it's not in the foreseeable future.
Because they're both trying to protect each of our rights. They're telling him keep fighting, and they're telling me just separate.
That's why you guys have different attorneys, because each of them are going to have different viewpoints and agendas. Everybody has their own agenda. Just because you guys are a couple don't mean anything. And, sir, I would advise you to follow your attorney's advice, and ma'am, I'd advise you to follow your attorney's advice or get second opinions. All right. Listen, guys, I got to take another break. I want to thank you.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Thank you for calling in. Call us in about a month. Give us an update. All right. This is The Secret, How to Fight CPS and Win. We'll be back right after these messages.